trophied up. Yeah. Hey, do yo, trophied up. Do your dance when the G's up. Spaced out, got me geeked up. 10 toes on the west, can I beat us? You cannot. Shining every time they meet us. Rack 'em up, since 96. Been number one in LA, something slight, that's the gist.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talkin Galaxy. For everyone waiting for Joe Tutino, I just want to say this right now to get it out there. He will be there at 8:15. So, just be a little patient with us tonight. He'll be there at 8:15. You'll get your Joe Tutino segment, trust. But we're very excited to have him on. Galaxy runs LA. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. I mean, great win this weekend and good game tomorrow, so can't wait.
Yeah, we got a very important game tomorrow. The LA Galaxy will obviously be playing the Leagues Cup semifinal game. We'll have the preview for that after the Joe Tutino interview. For now, we're going to go over some transfer deadline day news for the LA Galaxy. We'll start with John McCarthy. We'll start with John McCarthy. John McCarthy, the LA Galaxy goalkeeper, has been traded to the New York Red Bulls for a conditional $150K in allocation money. And we will retain most of his salary. Galaxy runs LA. What was your initial reaction to this?
At first, when I saw the deal, I was like, no way we're trading our second string keeper for a third round draft pick. But as you think about it a little bit more, up to 115K in GAM. But what's it called? At the first, I was like, what are we doing? But thinking more into the deal and looking at the logistics, I think this is a good deal when it's mutually beneficial between the two clubs. Obviously, McCarthy's contract ends this year, but he got an extension through New York Red Bulls. But we would have had him on free agency, so we're getting at least a little bit something for him.
And it never made sense that we carried 4 goalkeepers. We always expected that, even if it was the last day possible to get rid of one of them, that it would happen. And John McCarthy seemed to be the odd man out ever since Novak Mitrovic started the season. You just had the feeling that John McCarthy was going to get moved at some point. And, good luck to him at New York. I know they're fighting for a play-in spot right now. They're close to that line, I believe 10th place in the Eastern Conference. And hey, their goalkeeper went down. About a week before John McCarthy joined. And when that happened, you were always like, okay, you were looking at teams like that could be potential trade destinations for John McCarthy. And they were definitely one of them when their keeper went down, I believe, in a Leagues Cup match. So, good luck to him there. I think this deal, more than anything, if it's 150K in 2026 general allocation money, it's only a plus. That's like an international spot. It's like a free international spot next year, which we're going to need a lot of those, by the way. In fact, we need them right now. That moves on to the second part of the deal, the fact that we're retaining an unspecified but described as large portion of John McCarthy's remainder of his contract this year. That doesn't surprise me. Because I think that the Galaxy want to use whatever money that we sent to the New York Red Bulls, whatever money that the Red Bulls are absorbing of his salary, and we're no longer absorbing, we're going to forward to a potential international spot for Riqui Puig. We do have a Riqui Puig update as well later. Not now. You will get your Riqui Puig update as well. But New York Red Bulls get John McCarthy. Good luck to him. I'm sure he'll do great there. He's a class guy. He's a good guy. And he's a winner. He's a winner no matter where he goes. So congratulations to him on the move. And hopefully he'll actually get to play some playoff time this year. Jonathan Perez now. You want to go over this Galaxy runs LA?
Yeah, so obviously Johnny Perez left last summer to go on loan to Nashville, and it was a deal up until this summer that the loan lasts for, and then there was a purchase option, and Nashville picked up the purchase option. I forget the exact amount of money. I have to pull it up, but you might have it being
$1.5 million with a conditional $300K extra, so up to $1.8 million for Jonathan Perez.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've leased him. Obviously, Johnny Perez is a great player, but I mean, I just don't think he has a spot on this team. Obviously, with the Galaxy, we're using our DP slots on wingers and attacking players. And I feel like with the upcoming rises of people like Johnny Perez, it's just unfortunate because they don't have a spot in the squad, maybe to get like very minimal rotation minutes, but it's hard to break into that attacking front three when you got players like Peck and Painsel, and obviously last season we had Douglas Costa and Tyler Boyd, or 2 seasons ago when Johnny Perez was breaking through. But it's rough being a academy player going through the Galaxy, especially being a winger, just because you're not getting much playing time, not getting much time to develop.
Yeah.
So I mean, good for him. He got his move. I think we got the better end of the deal, but Nashville sees something in him, so good on them.
It's also worth noting that that $1.5 million in allocation money guaranteed, the Galaxy are converting a large part, if not all of that, to general allocation money. I'm not sure the conversion rates of those things, but I'm assuming that we're going to get a decent chunk in 2026. Look, everything we're doing right now is forwarding towards 2026, building up that year to be something special again for the LA Galaxy. Once again, wish Johnny Perez the best of luck in his future. He's really young. He has a bright future. Look, he's going to score goals for Nashville, and people are going to overreact. People are going to be like, oh, why did we trade him? Look, you're not going to start over 2 designated players. Say whatever you want about how Joseph Paintsil and Gabriel Peck have been playing this year. Definitely not to their standards. Coming off of a great 2024 season from both of them. But Johnny Perez would not be starting. He would not be starting. And ultimately, Nashville gives him the chance to be the starter. And that's where he wants to go for the betterment of his career. Tyler Boyd, Gaston Bergman. We got some familiar, Galaxy faces over there. I'm sure he loves it. And he's getting a lot of play time from what I know, especially in Leagues Cup. I think he had a goal in that tournament too. So Jonathan Perez, like you said, we got the better of that deal. We got the better of that deal because we got $1.8 million for a guy that has 4 goal contributions in 6 seasons. He's very young. He is very, very young. So, saying that, there's a huge asterisk next to it. But that being said, that kind of money for somebody who hasn't quite proven themselves yet, I think is a good deal from the Galaxy perspective when he was never going to get into this team. Anyway. The window's over. The window is over, Tab. And from it, we've offloaded John McCarthy, Jonathan Perez, and had 0 incomers. What's your perspective on this transfer window?
I think it's been great. Obviously, we haven't brought anyone in, and I don't think we should have. So I think that's a good one. Wilkins, obviously. People want to be like want LA Galaxy to be the top dogs, always win every transfer window. But I think this is a silent dub that not many people can see. But if you look into all the details of all the deals, I think we clear up cap space for this season, which, I mean, this season's already done, but next season is more important. I think we've set ourselves up well, which next season's already going to be good. We have a ton of cap space. So adding on to that, it's going to be great. And I think it just helps us. I don't have much else to say about that.
Yeah. I think after the most disastrous window in LA Galaxy history, probably winter of, last winter, this was a good recovery window. And it might not seem like that. I've seen the take that, all the Galaxy are doing is selling players, or we should have brought in a striker. This team's not competing for anything this year. I think if the opportunity, if the window of opportunity opened itself, the Galaxy would have pounced on it. But look, we had $0 in allocation money coming into this. So any name, any rumor that you saw, whether that be, it comes around every window, Robert Lewandowski, even saw one about that absolute treacherous person, Thomas Partey, floating around. Any rumor that you see like that, you just got to think in your head that, hey, we don't have the money for that. We don't have the money for that. Even if they took Tam, we couldn't pay Mark Delgado. So every rumor that you've seen thus far, I think throw a huge grain of salt on it because it was never really going to happen. And Will Kuntz talked about the fact that we weren't going to make any moves this window. This is as expected, but you're getting $1.8 million to Jonathan Perez, and you're moving a guy who would not have renewed. John McCarthy was not going to renew. So I think it was the right moves from the Galaxy this window, and Will Kuntz. I think this winter is going to be a massive window. You can't understate that, really, from the LA Galaxy perspective. But yeah, no complaints coming from me. We got a piece of news today before we bring Joe Tutino on and whatnot. Joseph Paintsil got called back up to the Ghana national team. He's been on a long hiatus. The last thing I heard of him in a Ghana, around the Ghana scene was the fact that he sat out one of the international breaks because of issues with the federation. All the players, a bunch of players, not just Joseph Paintsil, were protesting. They were sitting out of national team duty. I don't know. Do you remember exactly what that was about, Tab? But I know that there was some issue with Ghana.
It's something with the manager, I believe. I think
Yeah.
they didn't like the manager. I remember the one player I do remember is Mohamed Kudus because he's West Ham, one of my boys. But I remember he sat out. I think Semenyo sat out from
Mhm.
Bournemouth. So a lot of the key players sat out, and Joseph Paintsil was one of those included.
Yeah. And he's back. He's back in the national team fold. You talk about the fact that it's been a confidence issue, in my opinion, for Joseph Paintsil. He's a player who can ride on big highs, and when he's feeling it, he's one of the most dangerous wingers in Major League Soccer. The blistering pace gets in behind any back line you want. I don't care what it was. That playoff run that he had was incredible. And he deserves this. He deserves this because it's gonna build his confidence too. And it's a reward for all the hard work that he's put in, and he's slowly finding form again for the LA Galaxy, in my opinion. So, very happy to see Joseph Paintsil back in the national team fold for Ghana. But just wanted to raise to you a question. Joseph Paintsil, I think we've kind of talked about behind the scenes as a guy that you see in the long-term future of the LA Galaxy more than a Gabriel Peck. Gabriel Peck's way younger and he has European interests. But how long do you see Joseph Paintsil staying at the LA Galaxy? Could you see him potentially having a statue outside of Dignity Health Sports Park? Is that crazy of me to say?
I don't think it's crazy, but I think the chances are pretty slim. Obviously, he had a great debut season, freshman season. Sophomore slump, you could say, hasn't
A
been great,
lot. Yeah.
but I think if we know the potential he has, if he can step up and fill the boots of the player that we think he's going to be, I think there's no doubt he could be a statue out front. But just considering how inconsistent he is, I don't know how realistic it's going to be that he gets a statue. But I do think he'll be, like you say in previous podcasts, he's going to be an MLS lifer. I think if he doesn't work out with the Galaxy, there's going to be MLS teams sniffing around and trying to get his signature. So
Yeah.
definitely going to be a great player in MLS. Hopefully stays with us and hopefully continues to find his form.
Yeah. I think honestly, more than Gabriel Peck, Joseph Paintsil is more reliant on Ricky Puig being available for the LA Galaxy, in my opinion. And why I say that is because I don't think it goes without saying, but there's not another player on this Galaxy team who could put balls in positions like Ricky Puig. And the guy who benefits most from that is the guy who's making these blistering runs in behind. He's not getting in those positions right now. Yeah, there will definitely be a Ricky statue. I see the chat. I think that's already confirmed regardless. It probably when I'm way older, but it will happen. I think with Joseph Paintsil, when he's going, when the confidence is flowing, I think there's no other player in Major League Soccer. There's no faster player in the world. He was the fastest player in all of soccer. When he gets him behind a defense, he talked about it after MLS Cup. There's nobody stopping him. Nobody's going to stop him. He knows that. He has that confidence, but right now he doesn't. But I think getting called back into the Ghana national team picture, it fills him up with a lot of confidence. And I'm really excited to see what he has to provide for the LA Galaxy in incoming years. I think Joseph Paintsil is just an absolute stud. By the way, I met him at the Carson In-N-Out after last game. What a fun little surprise that was. Story behind this being, I was literally walking in and out with my friend, and I was telling him as I was walking in, I was like, dude, Galaxy players always show up to this In and Out. I don't know what it is about that. Before I could even finish my sentence, I look up and it's Joseph Paintsil, and I'm like, there's no shot. That guy is so chill. He's probably my favorite Galaxy player I've ever met. Honestly, there's a certain aura about him. But yeah, the Carson in and out, it never fails. I know Peck and Nascimento always hit that up, but super humble, super chill guy. And Talking Galaxy exclusive here. Mr. Joseph Paintsill told me that he will be dropping an album very soon, according to him. So yeah, good pieces of news there for Joseph Paintsill and the LA Galaxy as they prepare for the Seattle Sounders. Guys, I think the guest is here. The guest is here, and this is a man who needs no introduction. He is the voice of the LA Galaxy. He is, a club legend. Just super honored, super humbled to have him on the podcast. Whenever I think of the Galaxy, and if I could attribute a voice to this, it's this guy. Tab, what do you think of this guy?
Let's get started. Bring him in.
All right. Mr. Joe Tutino, welcome to Talkin Galaxy.
Hi, guys. How are you? Thanks
Good,
for having me.
you?
I'm doing well.
We're very excited to have you on.
For the big game tomorrow night.
Yep. Huge game for the LA Galaxy. Obviously, Leagues Cup semifinal. It's win or go to a third place game, I guess. But, they want to put a trophy on that table. So, yeah. We got some questions for you, Joe. We got some questions. Everyone in the chat's going crazy already. We're really excited.
Okay.
Just wanted to preface this by saying that, Mr. Tutino, it's an honor to have you on. There needs to be a statue of you outside of the stadium, man.
So what's going on with you guys? You guys all right? You guys going tomorrow night?
I will be there. I will be there. Absolutely. We'll have a ticket giveaway right after the podcast. On my Instagram, we'll have one ticket available. So yeah, if anybody still needs one, I know they have the $20 GA tickets going until midnight, I believe. So
yeah,
make sure you guys get that. Let's make sure that stadium's packed. I know it's a midweek game, but we're ready for it. It's funny. I was actually talking last watch along. Because we have watch-alongs every away game, but last one we had the Pachuca one because I was home for that game, and so was Tab. And I hit a realization during it. I was like, wait, I'm competing with Joe Tutino for the radio stream on this one because we did like the play-by-play commentary on it, and it just hit me. I'm like, oh man, we're no competition. we are no competition in this, but
it's like 1,000 to 10 people.
Yeah,
kind of outmatched.
Yeah.
Wow, you guys do well, I'm sure.
Yeah, sort of.
we get our viewers.
We got questions for you, man. I'll start off here, and then we'll do back to back, and then Tab will go. Joe Tutino, where did you start your professional career, and how did you progress to working for the LA Galaxy?
Well, I started my career in San Diego in sports radio, actually news talk radio, and then we flipped and became the first sports station on the West Coast. What turns out to be with the mighty 690 and Extra Sports 690 eventually, and I was in the right place at the right time. And most of the time in this business, that's kind of how it goes. You have to be in the right place at the right time and take advantage of the opportunity, and that's how it started for me.
That's awesome. How many years have you been at the club?
I've been associated with the Galaxy for 30 years, since game one. Since game one. I was the public address for the very first game at the Rose Bowl in 1996. And excuse me while I deal with my dog at the same time.
I see the dog in the background. What a lovely dog you got there. It's National Dog Day. Yeah, you got the pup cup from Starbucks.
Yeah, he gets one every day.
Perfect.
He's 160 pounds. He's more of a cow than a dog.
What a beast. Thank you very much for the answer. We got another question here. How have you seen the club develop? You've been here since 1996. You've seen every single moment in this club's history. How have you seen the club develop throughout time as like new faces in the front office come in and out, all that transition and turnover? How's that been for you?
Well, I think it's been good. I think, the club itself from the front office standpoint was very, very small for a long time. I would say really, when we gave away this, when we got our championship rings in 2003, when they opened the stadium in June of '03, and then we received our championship rings, and the team, of course, received theirs on the field. We received ours after the game. I think there may have been less than 15 people in the office getting rings. Whereas this particular year, when we had a dinner recently, well, not so long ago, a couple months ago, at the stadium, and there was probably nearly 200 people in the front office getting rings. So that part of it has been, obviously a big change. But only over the last 10 years have we seen that change. It was pretty much a boutique type of situation for quite some time before I think the teens got underway, and then things start to open up a little bit more. And technology was changing, and a lot of things have happened over the last 20 years.
Yeah, that's incredible, actually. Yeah, I'm sure, going from maybe 10 to 15 people getting rings to, everybody is crazy. It's
Well,
got
the
to be
Galaxy offices at the Rose Bowl were in a trailer outside the Rose Bowl. That's what it was
Jeez.
until the club moved into Dignity Health Sports Park, and even when the club moved into the stadium, it didn't have all the office space it has now. It was sharing a lot of office space that it currently has with U.S. Soccer, USTA, eventually Chivas USA, and then Chivas USA leaving and going across the street, and then the Galaxy took over the rest of the offices there.
Incredible. Love to hear it. Galaxy runs LA. I believe you got a question.
Yeah, so obviously you said you've been with the club for 30 years. You've seen teams come and go. Do you have a favorite team throughout the years? Either it be like vibes or just the talent on the team?
I always say, and I could be wrong here, that I think the 2011 team was the best LA Galaxy team. And I know people that played on the 1998 team will say I'm wrong about that, and I'm willing to accept it. But the reason I say 2011 is the best team because that team actually did go wire to wire and win the MLS Cup, and it was top to bottom, I think, a very good team. They could be offensive, and they were great defensively as well. And so I think, to me, that's my best LA Galaxy team. The 2002 team, also a Supporters Shield winner, and of course won the first championship in Galaxy history. That always has a special place in your heart as well. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say because I would say there's at least 6 that I hold dear to my heart.
Yeah, for sure. 2011, I think 2011 and 2024 are like widely debated as like,
Right.
Which one would beat each other in like a head-to-head matchup. Let's just hope that 2024 team doesn't concede some set pieces there.
Okay. I don't know. I think defensively that 2011 team was pretty good, and it's difficult to deal with and difficult to break down. And if the Galaxy scored a goal in that game, you're likely not coming back.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a top to bottom dominant game. The next question I have is to kind of piggyback off a tab there. What's your most memorable LA Galaxy season of all time? And, like, why? It doesn't even have to necessarily be the best, just the most memorable.
Oh, that's really a tough one because they all kind of moments of each season kind of jumbled together now. And so I could pick out certain moments, and that may be from a different season. To me, I think returning to the top of the mountain for the Galaxy 2024 is right there for a lot of different reasons. It took 10 years for the Galaxy to get back to where they belong, and even during the season, it took a while to really start feeling that this team could be a championship team. And as we got closer and closer to the playoffs, you wondered if they could hold on, take the Western Conference title. Home field advantage was so important going in. Houston delivers the dagger in the final touch of the game, for the sake of argument. Daniel Steres, former Galaxy player, scoring that goal that once again Houston hurts the Galaxy as they've had so many times on decision day. And then you wondered, okay, well, the road has changed. The road doesn't go through Dignity Health Sports Park all the way. Well, lo and behold, it ends up doing that. And then the Galaxy beat Seattle in the Western Conference final. And ironically, they're beating Seattle here in what is potentially the Western Conference Final of Leagues Cup. I know it's the semifinals, but that's how it looks. So, 2024 is a special year. I mean, for a lot of different reasons. I remember texting Greg after the Seattle game on the way I was leaving the stadium, and I just said, hey, thanks for bringing the Galaxy back to where they belong. And we still had a week to go, and but they got it done.
Yeah, you really felt that sentiment after the Western Conference Final. I mean, you never wanted to speak too soon, even with Ricky Puig suffering the injury that he did, but it just felt different. It felt different. That Galaxy team was so incredibly motivated to go out and win that MLS Cup. It felt like they were always just going to do it after they beat Seattle. That was the most uphill battle of all of it.
It felt like they were going to put in 4 in that first 20 minutes of that game against New York, and then all of a sudden it turned into somewhat of a nail biter there.
Yeah, the Forsberg post hit, I think, sunk my heart there. Tab, I think you got a question.
Yeah, just before I asked the question for that 2024, I was doing the volunteering, so I was stuck in the backroom stage, kind of waiting to bring out the what's it called, the rollers with the trophy celebration on it, and I heard everyone start screaming like, "Oh, this is it! We're winning it!" And then it keeps playing. I'm like, "What's going on?" And then what's it called? 5 minutes later, someone they blow the final whistle. I'm like, just relief. There's so much stress, but I'm so glad it went our way.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's how they are, right? The championships, that you're excited, there's euphoria, but ultimately, once you get there, it's relief for finishing it off. I think the players leave it all on the field, and I think even the fans. We've been lucky enough to have 3 of them now. I believe 4 of them won in our stadium, right? I believe that's correct.
Yeah.
And to be able to do that, that's just a blessing. I mean, most of the teams have to go on the road or whatever it might be. In our case, the Galaxy has been home for the majority of their championships, and that's a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. The pump fake final whistle Tab was talking about gave me a hard. I was like, Ricky ran onto the field, and they ended up everyone had to come back out, and I was like, oh my gosh, please don't tell me they end up scoring. I was like, this is gonna break me. This game, I felt more relief than anything. But go on, Tab.
Yeah, for the next question, do you have a favorite Galaxy player of all time?
I was asked about this at the season ticket holder event recently, and I threw out Robbie Keane. And the reason why I threw out Robbie Keane is, for me, Robbie's the greatest DP signing the league has ever had, with 3 championships and an MVP, I believe, at least 1 MVP, and he might be my favorite. And of course, start throwing everybody else out there also. Landon Donovan, and the opportunity to call his record-breaking goal, and calling probably 95% of Kobe Jones's games in his career, and then he joins me in the broadcast booth for 11 years, and that's pretty special all the way around. But if I had to just pull back and say, to me it was Robbie Keane, because he was the final piece of the puzzle that led to a dynasty.
Yeah. I mean, Robbie Keane, absolute legend. I loved his celebrations after he scored. You saw.
Don't forget about Zlatan, of course. He was exciting and fun to have him with the Galaxy, and hopefully, it would have been nice to have him at least one more year, but it turned out the way it did.
Yeah, and Zlatan, that was the player who got me. Yeah, not to make you guys feel old, but Zlatan is the player that got me into the LA Galaxy. And
how old are you boys? How old are you guys?
I'm 19.
You're 19. How old are you?
21.
21. Yeah. Okay, so when I'm pulling out the 11, 12, and 14 teams, you guys are like, oh my God, I can't remember these teams.
Yeah.
I remember watching 2014 final, and then after, I was just so hyped. I went to the park with my Galaxy jersey on, just trying to shoot on goal.
Well, I'm not going to talk about the 17 through 23 teams, because that was miserable for all of us.
Yeah. I think what hurt more than any of those teams was I guess this is a part of those, but the 2022 playoffs really, I think just crushed me. I was so excited that we got back to because everybody, becoming a Galaxy fan when I did, everybody before me was always talking about the great MLS Cup moments, and I was like, I've literally never got to experience this team even go to a conference final. Like, So now I was a bit jealous. I'd be lying to you if I said that I wasn't a bit, envious of everybody who got to see that, all those legendary Galaxy teams and players, and then finally getting to see it last year was just incredible. Kind of follow-up question on that, maybe not your favorite player, but what's the funniest encounter you've had with an LA Galaxy player?
The funniest encounter I've had with a Galaxy player?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's a hard one. I know we've giggled a few times in the broadcast booth over the years, but in terms of, it's always so respectful for me with the Galaxy players. When I go to training, I'm off to the side, and I will shake their hands after a game, after training as they leave, but never really engage in a situation to where we're joking around with them, at least for me.
Okay.
And so I kind of stay away from that because I don't think that's my place.
Mm-hmm.
But, for me, it's kind of watching them and seeing them normally in a practice environment when they start to just kind of have a good time out there. But there's no real one moment that I think I could share in terms of a funny moment. So I apologize there that I don't have necessarily a really fun moment, a funny moment that kind of comes to mind right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely understand that. Obviously it goes without speaking that the 2025 season has been a down year for the Galaxy. The standings can speak for itself. We don't have to harp on that.
Right.
But you've seen a lot of this year has been forwarding towards 2026. A lot of the sentiment Will Kuntz has put out, and everybody within the Galaxy front office, the vibe is that everything's kind of shifting towards 2026.
Right.
They knew 2025 with the salary cap restrictions was going to be difficult. Maybe not as bad as it is now, but they always knew that it was going to be an uphill battle. What gives you a sense of optimism for 2026 in your opinion? What's something that you can tell to everybody in the chat that maybe be a little comfort blanket for everybody right now in this difficult time?
Well, number one is Ricky should be 100%. Whether he gets on the field this season or not, he should be at 100% and ready to go for the next season. I think they'll have a little more wiggle room to enhance the roster a little bit. I think last game should make you feel good about what the Galaxy has coming in the pipe in terms of all the kids that played and how well they played for the LA Galaxy in that win against Colorado. You see the team kind of coming together a little bit here, even though the results in MLS play haven't really been there, but you see them playing better. They resemble the team from 2024 a little bit going forward. Defensively, they started to play better. We've seen Novak play better in goal as well, so he's only going to get better going forward as the number one goalkeeper for the Galaxy. Aude has had a nice season, I think, taking over that left back position once again, showing a little bit of his mettle in that position. I think Edwin Cerrillo is only going to be better next year, considering that he's probably had a lot more responsibility on his shoulders, not having Ricky out there and also having new players around him. And that's been a lot for a young player. So I think in that regard, he's going to be much better in that sixth position if he plays there. Lucas Sanabria is shown a little bit over the last few games how he fits into the Galaxy. And the rest of the season is going to have a lot to say about that going forward. I don't know if Nascimento is going to stay. He's on loan right now, but I think he's shown a little bit of what he can be with the Galaxy in terms of his understanding between him and Royce. And I think that's allowed Gabby and Joseph Paintsill to finally get back into their groove, getting beyond their injuries. And we're seeing Gabby now show up a little bit more. And so those are the things I look at going into the final, whatever it is here, 2 months of the season, and to see hopefully that this Galaxy team is ramping up towards the end of the year, notwithstanding playoffs, but ramping up towards the end of the year. But first things first, take care of tomorrow night, and then hopefully get some silverware out of this.
Yeah. We got a question in the chat. I know you spoke about Ricky Puig a little bit. What's your personal opinion on if he should play at all? Because I know there's a lot of commentary right now going on if he should play at all this year. I just wanted to see what your thoughts are. You know, should Ricky play in a season, at least MLS wise, that it seems like it's lost?
I think there are two schools of thought. If he's 100% ready to go, that's number one. Then you say, okay, put him out there to give him some game action. So you don't have to worry about that. Get the mentality part of it behind him. Of that's kind of, you know, his knees sound, physically sound. The doctors are giving him the green light, so to speak. Now it's about the mental part of things. Get on the field in a game situation, make the cuts that Ricky Puig makes the runs that Ricky Puig makes, take a tackle that Ricky Puig might have taken in the past, and move on from there. I guess those are the things that would have to happen going forward. That's the school of thought of saying, get him out there. The other school of thought is, well, even if he's 100%, there's no real reason to risk him at this point. So let's just go on the off season, get into training camp. Everybody starts at the same time. Everybody's at zero, get their fitness right, and everybody starts the same in 2026. I am of the opinion, if I am talking to the player and the player is ready mentally to get on the field of play, and the doctors and the trainers have all signed off on him, then I let him get out there. Maybe not start, but I'd let him get some minutes.
Absolutely. I definitely agree. It's interesting that you contrasted those two, you know, trains of thought. I didn't even think about the, you know, the fact that everybody kind of starts at zero fitness wise, you know, next year. So it's kind of like a clean slate. So yeah, that you're definitely right on that. We got another question in the chat. We'll take like a couple more. We got a question from Brandon. What is your favorite LA Galaxy, or what's your favorite quote to scream when the Galaxy score?
Oh, it's usually he scores. It's usually natural that way. I mean, sometimes, you know, a player might be going for a second goal, and that pops up into my mind. It might be running into, you know, Gabriel Peck for a second, or he's on potentially he's got two and looking for the third for the hat trick, and that might pop into my vocabulary along the way. But usually, it is he fires, he scores, or he header, he scores. But he scores is usually the finish. For me, it's kind of been that way forever. It's a natural thing for me. I know a lot of guys will throw out goal or other catchphrases, but that seems to be the one that's been natural for me over the years.
Yeah, that's legendary. I remember the one that I attribute to that is the Zlatan bicycle against the New England Revolution with your commentary on it in 2019. I remember that one quite vividly there. I was at that game. We got another one.
Didn't win that game though, unfortunately.
What?
They didn't win that game, unfortunately. If I remember correctly.
Yeah, that team had to you know, give up a few goals despite Zlatan's efforts, of course.
Yeah, well, that's been a problem. Yeah, you're right.
What question?
Sticks out before you say it, the one that sticks out for me for some reason is Sebastian Leget's like scissor bicycle kick versus LAFC at home during the COVID times, empty stadium. Yeah. I remember that one. I remember watching my dad and hearing your voice saying.
Well, I'm sure you guys remember Edwin Cerrillo's blast as well, right?
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
That was
can't forget that one. Yeah,
absolutely. That was lovely. We got another question. This is more like career based. What advice would you give anybody looking to get into sports broadcasting or journalism?
I would say, yeah, it's a tough one because the industry is changing a lot. Mm-hmm. And from when I got into it, where it was still traditional to a certain degree, but now it's changed a lot over the last decade or so, where we're seeing a lot of traditional radio stations and TV stations kind of slide over. We're seeing what you guys are doing here in the podcast world. We're seeing a lot of those shows bubble up, the Joe Rogans of the world, guys who've become very famous in that regard. The one common denominator from when I started to what today is, it's about repetition. Find your voice, you know, learn your craft along the way. Certainly take your journalism classes. To me, I think public speaking is very important. I would take that. And I constantly work on my vocabulary if I had to do it all over again. If I was 19-year-old like you guys are, I would constantly work on my vocabulary. I'd learn a thesaurus, easy for me to say, inside and out with sports jargon along the way. And I think improving on that vocabulary only allows you to be more eloquent when you're talking, and that elevates your credibility along the way.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the advice there. We got one last question for you, Joe. I saw today that Kobe Jones is starting a podcast as well.
Right.
Really excited to see what that's going to look like. But he's also
great.
getting a statue. Yeah, I know. You guys used to be commentary partners. That was I loved when you guys were both on the broadcast for the Galaxy. Kobe Jones is getting a statue, I believe, next year. That's going to be unveiled. Who do you think is the next guy that should get a statue for the LA Galaxy? You know, I know we got some shouts for you in the chat. I definitely have to agree with that one. But who else do you think should get a statue for the Galaxy? The next man up.
Well, I wonder if you start talking about coaches. I think that's probably something we can think about at some point here. Maybe Bruce, Robbie. Would be another one I would talk about in that regard. David's already there. Landon's already there. I think it's really hard at this point when you start looking at guys that they have to match up to the level of the statues that are already there, right? I would think that's the criteria and what they mean to the LA Galaxy and what they've meant by and large historically for the club. Between Bruce and Siggy Schmid, that's a tough one. Siggy's name is already up in the Ring of Honor, so maybe he would be further in that line of who might get a statue. I think Robbie is probably in that line of who should be getting a statue. If you want to go back to Galaxy 1.0, Kobe Jones's era, I wonder who else would be there. I mean, it's hard to say that Carlos Ruiz scored the biggest goal in Galaxy history, the first championship, but he wasn't with the Galaxy all that long in terms of, career guys. So I would probably say Robbie would be there as a player. I think Bruce and Siggy as managers, if they go down that road, those to me seem next in line. I think Zlatan, for who he was for the Galaxy, he was incredible for the couple of years he was with the club. But I think right now, I would say he wasn't with the club long enough.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. As much as I love Zlatan, there's so many people. There's so many people in front of him right now, even though he's a legendary player and had iconic moments. I just think he's a bit
everywhere he's gone, he's had that explosion, right? Every team he's played on, he's been that guy throughout his career. But yeah, he just doesn't have the tenure, unfortunately, with the Galaxy, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And then we'll send you out with this question. Sorry, we got one last one. I know we kept you over time. What's the pup's name? What's the pup's name?
My dog's name is Julius.
Perfect.
Julius Caesar, and he's about 163 pounds, and he's massive. And I got him when he was skin and bones as a rescue, and so never expected him to be as big as he turned out to be. But it's all right. Perfect.
Happy International Dog Day, everyone.
That's right.
Yeah.
Joe Tutino, thank you very much for joining us tonight. It is an honor to have a legend of the LA Galaxy on the podcast. You are welcome back anytime. Sincerely, just thank you, Mr. Tutino, for joining us. It is.
Thank you, guys.
It is.
Thank you, guys, and hopefully we'll see you guys tomorrow night at Dignity Health Sports Park. Remember, support the LA Galaxy and go Galaxy.
Yep, go Galaxy.
Yes, sir,
thank
always.
you.
All right, gentlemen.
Have a good one.
Have a nice night.
You too. Joe
I mean,
Tutino, everyone. And Joe
we're
Tutino.
talking Legends of the Galaxy right there. Obviously, he's one of the competitors for one of the next statues at Legends Plaza. People have been
Yeah.
talking. Yeah, it's crazy. Um, Obviously, with Kobe Jones getting a statue next, and also a new podcast coming out. Maybe we can see what's his name, Joe Tutino on the podcast with
That'd be sick.
Kobe Jones. I was almost tempted to ask him that, but I didn't want to give away any spoilers for that because it's brand new.
Yeah.
So they shared the booth talking games. Maybe he joins the podcast.
Absolute legend. Really just the voice of the galaxy. Love to hear from him. Really just a class guy, class act. Yeah, I guess we got to go back into galaxy news then. We got to transition back into galaxy news. You and I were on the live watch along last, so we won't cover the Pachuca game. Galaxy obviously advancing to the semifinals. You could go back and watch a live commentary. By the way, if you guys are here right now, make sure to like and subscribe. If you already haven't, turn on bell notifications. We're live Tuesday at 8 p.m. every week, and we have live watch alongs for every away game. By the way, on the Joseph Paintsel thing, he will miss the Dynamo game. That's the thing I forgot to add in there. I think it's September 6th. He will not be there for our away trip at Houston, so it doesn't really matter. It's MLS play. Anyway. So we'll dive into the Colorado game here. The Galaxy threw out the kids. They threw out the kids, and probably I know you had an Instagram reel about how a lot of people initially reacted to this lineup not favorably, including
clip some close friends, Griffin and Jody.
Including some of my closest friends.
I almost got Nicholas in there as well, but I spared him.
Yeah. This lineup was a lineup. It was one of the lineups for sure. JT Marcinkowski played his first game since I believe it was July of 2023 as an MLS player. He suffered that brutal injury that kept him out so long. Went to be the backup he was the backup for San Jose for many years. Gets his first start, gets a clean sheet. We will absolutely take that. John Nelson in left back position, Zonka and Rindov. Before this game, I was talking to you, Tab, and you're like, I feel like Rindov gets a start. I'm like, you're out your mind, man. I'm like, you're absolutely out your mind. So I'll shut up on that one. Rindov played and got a clean sheet. That back line was class. Miki Amane in right back position. I think that was one of his better games that he's had all year. Edwin Soria, Lucas Sanabria, Elijah Winder in the midfield, and a front three of Harbor Miller, Tucker Lepley, and Miguel Berry. Rotation ahead of Leagues Cup for the Galaxy. And hey, they fell into the trap. We laid out, we put the little mouse trap there for Colorado, and we're like, hey, take a nibble of the cheese, and they bit on it. I think they came into this game thinking they're going to roll over the Galaxy, and maybe they had a good reason to think that, but I think that's where they lost the game, is the fact that they came into this one being like, hey, we're going to stomp them. And the Harbor Miller goal in the 7th minute becomes the you got another graphic here, youngest goal scorer in LA Galaxy history. Harbor Miller, remember the name, 18 years, 63 days old, scoring his first Galaxy goal, second youngest player in Galaxy history to score, only trailing the great Jack McBean, who's 16 years old. Jeez, what were you doing?
I don't think that record's game beat anytime soon, not gonna lie. I'm trying to think of academy players coming through that might beat this. I mean, the young
Albert
player,
would have.
maybe the next youngest I'm thinking right now is Vincent Garcia. He's like 14 years old, playing VCFC. He's got a chance. He's got 2 years to beat that. I think he's 14 right now. Also, for this goal, I want to give a shout out to the referee. We always harp on the referees kind of missing calls and making mistakes, and I thought he was fantastic this game. Obviously, he played the advantage where Harbor Miller got fouled, which led to the goal. So shout out to the referee.
Yeah.
I don't hear that often.
Yeah, normally you'd see them just blow it dead for no reason and restart us on the free kick. That would probably inevitably just end up going to one of the center backs. But what a player this kid is turning out to be. He hasn't looked out of place once. Every single game he's played for the LA Galaxy, Harbor Miller has been a standout. I feel like he's ready for this level. Furthermore, I think next year our right back rotation. Now I know he played winger in this game, but hey, look, you're not getting into that winger spot if you're, the Galaxy at full strength. As good as Harbor Miller is, you're not going to be able to start over a designated player. It's good depth. It's good depth though for one. We got a DP going on international duty, and you might, with the World Cup break and international breaks going on next year, you're going to need depth in the winger position. Harbor Miller can absolutely slot into it. But I'm looking at the right back position. I think him and Cuevas are great depth there next year. They're young, and I understand that comes with some inexperience, but look at them. They are absolutely ready to compete at this level. I love what Harbor Miller has going forward, but I also think his defensive hustle is ridiculous. He put in a crunching slide tackle, and
It's like a few minutes in the game, I remember. Just took
yeah,
out Reggie Cannon right after his goal. I mean, that kid's just oozing with confidence. And you've seen players on that wing back position, right back, left back position that come through the Galaxy. And for those positions, you don't have to be an experienced player like a center back needs to be, where you need to have experience playing against these big guys. Obviously, going against some of the best wingers in the world, like Messi and sometimes Evander slides out wide and you got to defend them. But I mean, you've seen players like Julian Araujo. They go in, they slot in, and they make the move to Europe. So we've seen players that are young make good minutes for the Galaxy, and I think this is another player that we can see rise to the occasion. I think Imane might need a what's called talk to his agent, because Harbor Mill on the rise, that's putting his spot in jeopardy.
yeah. I think Miki Imane, honestly, I know he played good in this match. Look, I don't want to be hard on him because I like the guy, but if there's one player that I think desperately needs his salary to be offloaded next year, that is currently under contract, I think it's Yamane. 900K, and Cuevas and Harbor Miller just look ready. I'm sorry. Miki Yamane, I think, is the odd man out right now next year. And I don't know. There's a couple guys in that conversation though, but I do want to give some credit where credit's due. Zonka. Look, the past 5 or 6 games this guy's had has been incredible. I mean, he was one of my one of the best players in the field. Maybe my man of the match. I would probably opt for a guy like Elijah Winder. Elijah Winder had the goal in the 55th minute to make it 2-0. Look, we were hard on him earlier this year because I think he was lacking the physical side of his game. Whatever the Galaxy coaching staff has had him work on over probably the last 4 months since he's gotten meaningful spans of minutes, it's working. He's coming along, but you want to see consistency over a long period of time. There could always be, some players in this lineup, especially with how many young players that are just absolutely performing well above their level actually is. But Elijah Winder, he's young. I think the Galaxy are developing him. If he can continue to put in these types of performances, that's a very valuable asset. I'm not going to be too reactionary on it, but I do want to give credit to, credit where credit's due on some of these players that I think, really maybe received a lot of criticism that stood out. Winder and Zonka, I think, have been great. And in this game, at least, I love to see what they have to offer for the Galaxy going forward. Zonka maybe gets the start tomorrow with Yoshida and Garcia's health in question. I would imagine that one of them's unavailable. So I'm fine with that right now. But it's Zonka.
Yeah.
Things can always change. But like I said, I think it's not a talent issue with him.
Yeah, I think Zonka, he's had a great past 6-7 games. I think what's it called? He's been locked down. This is a player that we think we're getting, and now it's finally come into fruition. Sorry, I didn't want to steal your joke, Steven, but I was saying that before, and I saw your comment. But
Okay, everyone's just brain rotted.
sorry about that, guys. I should have trigger warning, trigger warning. But yeah, Zonka's been great. I do think he starts tomorrow. I think it's going to be Zonka and Garces. I'm not sure you're thinking, but Yoshida's been lacking some game time, and you don't want to throw him into a semifinal, which I'm sure he's capable of doing. But I think you prefer to play a player that's been playing week in, week out for the past 5 weeks or something.
Yeah, I'll put it to you this way. I think Garcia starts that Colorado game if it's a meaningful one. So I
Yeah.
don't really have a doubt in my mind. Yoshida was still working with Ricky before the game and all the other injured guys. So I really imagine that he's not going to, Yoshida's not going to be featuring in this match, at least unless it's off the bench. Let's see. I saw something in the chat about you told me months ago when I said Miller over Yamane that it was a crazy take. For that time, it was a crazy take, but I think Harbor Miller and Yamane just falling off through the course of the season has been interesting. Let's talk about Rindolph. Where did this guy come from? I don't know. You watch more VCFC than I do, but I'll be completely honest with all of you guys. I did not know this guy existed about a week ago. And he comes in and he puts in a shift. Fair play, man. But you want to talk about Rindolph?
Yeah, I've been to a few VCFC games this season, and last season I've went to almost every home game. Rindolph is just that veteran. I guess you can call him a veteran for MLS Next Pro. He just has that like aura to him that like you're not gonna get by on. I thought he had a great game, obviously, and playing almost in a back five that also helps out a little bit just because you have that defensive coverage on both sides of you. And yeah, I don't have a bad word to say about him. Maybe a couple misplaced passes, but I mean that happens.
Yeah.
And just to keep going after those. I mean, sometimes you could see a player miss a couple passes and then they throw their head down and start pouting, and maybe that's the end of their career right there. But Rindolph kept going, locked down their forwards. Rafa Navarro had almost no chances. I don't remember him having a good moment. And I remember when I was watching after he scored the second goal, I believe, Rafa Navarro Rafa Navarro was screaming at Maxu, the Colorado defender, and just shows that these defenders are getting in his head. And I think that's just props to Rindolph and also Zonka.
Yeah, absolutely. Dare I say the Daniel Steres regen. Here, Rindolph just comes out of nowhere from the Ventura County. He's playing with Sporting Kansas City a few years ago. The only picture I could find of him before this game was it was high
Maryland
school.
kid.
High school.
I
High
think it
school.
was a Maryland. I swear it was a Maryland picture.
I'm not okay. There may have been a Maryland picture, but the one that I posted on my Instagram, I believe, was Chris Rindolph in high school.
Oh
Yeah. This guy just popped. He spawned in for me, and he came in, put in the shift. Fair play. I didn't expect him to start this match, but he did. Winder's been incredible. It just really a collective great performance from the LA Galaxy. What else did you see from this match? Galaxy just thumping Colorado. I think even Peck got on the score sheet in the 75th minute to make it 3-0. I mean, what a head loss by Colorado. Like, if you lose to this Galaxy team's C team, you got issues. But go on.
Yeah, obviously, I think the card just playing to his hands. Obviously, bringing in Peck, Painstill, and Royce is just a luxury, and you saw that. I remember what's it called for the third goal when Royce played over. You can see who's their left back, or Vines. He saw the ball go over his head. He threw his head down. He's like, "Oh my god, I have to make this run all the way back and stop Peck." You're not catching that guy, fresh Peck, and you're playing. That was like 70 minutes in. Like, yeah. Great goal from Peck. Obviously, with the Galaxy having a great performance and players like Harbor Miller and Tucker Lepley, you're gonna get these reactionary people saying, "Oh, let's start over Peck and Painstill," and then Peck just scores and just throws that right back at him. It's gonna be it was a good game, and I can't wait for tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm really impressed by this performance by the Galaxy C team. I think these guys needed to come in and really prove something. And maybe this is a crazy take. I don't think we win this with our main team. I don't know if we win this. I think there's less of a chance. Well, obviously we won, but like I think you put these lineups out and the main team ends up losing this game or at least getting a draw from it, because I think the confidence isn't there when it comes to MLS play. And some of these guys just switch off. They flip a switch and it's over for them. I think there's a confidence issue when it comes to MLS that they really benefit from when Leagues Cup wipes the slate clean for them. But seeing these young guys come in and just be hungry, they're absolutely hungry. Harbor Miller, you know, I said it to my friend Jody before Peck ended up scoring. I was like, Harbor Miller in one start at winger has half as many goals as Peck does all year. And then Peck, I guess, heard me from Angel City Brigade and then ended up scoring in this match. It was really nice to see Peck get back on the score sheet, another confidence booster. But yeah, the kids did well. The kids are all right. The kids are all right, guys. So really excited to see some of the future of these players that stood out and shined. But we're going to start moving forward towards the Seattle Sounders match. First of all, we got some news on Ricky Puig. Greg Vanney kind of talked about the fact in a press conference today that they're not sure if Ricky's going to be back at all this year. Actually, funny enough, Ricky was at my sister's work last night, and I told her, I was like, yeah. I was like, ask him when he's coming back. She didn't end up getting the opportunity, but man, Ricky Puig, I don't know. I'm really indecisive about this. I think Joe Tutino gave me a new perspective on this, honestly. The fact that everybody kind of comes in at zero, but I also think it's important for him to build confidence in himself. Also, like you talked about, and the fact that like you gotta trust that knee again. You gotta trust that knee. The first time he gets a hard tackle put on him, everybody I'm sure is gonna be, really, really, scared. But Ricky's a player that gets fouled more than anybody, I think, in Major League Soccer when he played. He gets beat up. It's the game plan. It's beat Ricky up. He really, really has to be ready. But if he's not physically fit to play this year, and if he doesn't pass the test, I'm okay with him sitting out. I'm okay with him sitting out this season if he's not ready to go. But if he's ready to go, I want to see him get a couple games in just to build his confidence, just to trust that knee again. I really want to see Ricky get back into the swing of things. But yeah, your thoughts on Ricky Puig?
Yeah, I'm on the same page as you. I think if he is 100%, doctors sign off, Greg thinks he's good. And I think if he has a confidence that he thinks he's good, I don't see why you don't bring him on. Obviously, we do still need a international roster slot for him. So maybe the Galaxy are saving some money. They haven't announced it yet. So maybe something's still in the works, but the transfer window is closed and you can't get an international slot outside the transfer window. But
Yeah.
maybe the rule is if you're working on a deal prior to the window closing, then you can continue working on that and finish it technically. So maybe they got something in the back of their head ready for if he is ready. But yeah, if he's ready, go for it. I mean, there's no bad thing that come out of it as long as you're not rushing into it. Because you need, like you said, you need to have those. You have to get in those situations that you're going to be playing in next season. And I think if you just throw them into Coachella, obviously,
That's not
you will
enough.
get those run-ins, but it's just not the same. MLS is a completely different game.
The speed and tempo of MLS is something that Ricky really has to catch up to again. Some of the turns that he makes, the agility that he has, the way his center of gravity just absolutely plays to his benefit during, it plays to his play style. He's a shifty little guy. But that being said, I want Ricky to be right. I want him to be ready for this. I want him to be ready for 2026. There's no reason to risk him, but if you could get him up to tempo and then maybe, go into the off season, he could go back to Spain or whatever. Look at some tape, continue maybe to do some, post rehab things to make sure that his knee's doing well. I think Ricky will really benefit from that. I think he will absolutely benefit from some game tape that he could look at and some things that he could do to, build his trust going into preseason. And then that way, especially if we get CONCACAF, he's going to have to be ready to go even sooner. He's going to have to hit the ground running even sooner. We're going to need him to be ready for CONCACAF. We're going to need him to be ready for that. And I think that entails him coming back when he's ready. But if he's ready this year, I'm not one of those people that's like, absolutely hold him out. There's nothing left in this year. It's not about that. It's about Ricky building trust in himself and his knee again. So I think that's very important to Ricky Puig, Ricky Puig's game. But we got some Nascimento news. Now. Speaking of the Seattle game, big game tomorrow. Nascimento is a question mark for this one. He suffered an injury in the game against Pachuca, and it looks like he's questionable for this game. This is a big piece for the Galaxy and their success against Seattle, I think, because Nascimento goes without saying. Royce false nine isn't enough, in my opinion. It's not enough because you take him out of the best part of his game. You need Royce to be playing that 10. I would not be opposed to Christian Ramirez starting if Nascimento is unable to go, but I don't think that's the route Greg Vanney is going to do. For some reason, Christian Ramirez is in the doghouse. And if that's the case, then I really hope Nascimento is fit for this match, but it looks like he's questionable. It's a big miss. How important is Nascimento, and what would the Galaxy runs LA plan be if he's out?
I think he's plays a big role. Obviously, with Seattle, you have two massive center backs in Yamar and Jackson Reagan, and Nascimento kind of holds him off. He plays a little higher, so the midfield has a little bit more space. And I think if you play Royce at a false nine, he drops in that drags in one of the center backs. That just makes it more congested. So I think having an in and out nine, or out and out nine, not in and out. I think
You're
we
already
need that.
in and out. He's
Yeah,
ready.
I'm ready. I'm gonna meet Peck and Nascimento tomorrow. What's
Yeah.
it called? I think we need an out nine to just hold off those defenders. I think I'm more Ramirez than Miguel Berry, but I think we need someone up there. And then obviously with that, on the other side of it, if you do play Riss at the false nine and you drag in a center back, that leaves some space in behind for Peck and Pencil to run through. So I mean, there's pros and cons to each of the positions. So we'll have to see what Vanny thinks.
Yeah, and very good point by Steven in the chat. This does not mean he's out. It just means that he's probably a game time decision. He's gonna wake up tomorrow and he's gonna be like, I'm ready to go, or coach, you're gonna have to let me sit this one out. And either way, if we do advance to the final, you want him to be ready to go for that. And I understand that this is a massive game with the CONCACAF spot on the line, but also if we get that third place game, which we will, if regardless, we're gonna have a chance of CONCACAF. You're gonna need Nascimento fully fit for that. You're gonna need him fully ready to go. So if he's not 100%, I rather just see Ramirez in. But I don't know what Greg Vanney's issue is with Christian Ramirez. He came in early in the season, and he might still be. He probably is a top 3 goal scorer on the Galaxy right now, and I don't remember the last time he's gotten a start. Maybe May.
Yeah.
If I'm being generous, May.
It was early.
Yeah. So I think Ramirez. I think Ramirez should be the guy who starts this game if Nascimento is not 100%. I don't know if Greg Vanney will see it that way, and I don't think he will. He's getting like scraps of minutes. I don't know what dirt he has on Greg, but I think we're more likely to see Royce false nine, probably with a guy like I don't know. Maybe you start Elijah Winder. Maybe they take a shot on Lucas Sanabria starting in a midfield with Edwin Cerrillo, Diego Fagundes. I don't think it's going to end up, I don't think it's going to end up being I think Ramirez still stays on the bench, which kind of sucks, but yeah. We'll move on. We'll move on to Marco Royce. Marco Royce quote about this match. He talked about the fact that he loves playing in these games. It's win or go home. He was talking about not only could it, it wouldn't possibly save our season. It would save our season. Essentially what he's saying here, stressing the importance of this match for the Galaxy. And we've talked about it a lot in previous matches, previous podcasts. I mean, we've talked about the fact that if we win Leagues Cup, I think it's a successful season. I think that is the benchmark, even in the worst run in Galaxy history, MLS wise, to be able to put a trophy on that table. There's going to be very few teams that can do the same. You could debate the legitimacy of Leagues Cup. I think the format is absolute nonsense. You could debate the format of it, but either way, it's a trophy on the table. It's a trophy on the table, given Campeones Cup as well. I think Royce is absolutely right. It would save our season, but yeah, Galaxy runs LA. You want to expand on this?
Yeah, I think it would be a successful season if we did win this, but I think also the season's been just so bad that I think if we do just earn a CONCACAF Champions League spot or
Mhm.
Champions Cup spot, I think that's just vital because I want to see
Yeah.
Ricky, Peck, and Pencil playing CONCACAF and see what they can do. Like obviously we didn't get to see that this year. Obviously with Ricky on, then Pencil was out for the start, so he missed most of those CONCACAF games. I want to see the triple P's, killer P's in CONCACAF running it up against Liga MX teams.
Yeah.
And I think if we do earn a spot, for me, that's a successful season just because all that hard work that we did in the 2024 season isn't going to, not to curse or anything, but not to go to trash. But
Yeah.
I think you take the small wins. I think if we get a CONCACAF spot, I'm fine with how the season went. There's no promotion relegation, so I just I don't want to earn the wooden spoon, but I don't mind coming in 14th place and getting CONCACAF.
Oh boy, are we the biggest beneficiaries of there not being promotion and relegation? By the way, if you're a Galaxy fan, just thank your lucky stars right now that MLS is a closed system, because we would be learning USL Championship right now. So luckily we're not in that boat. Ricky will not be playing tomorrow. To answer your question in the chat, I would expect it to be at least another month before you see Ricky potentially, if at all, on the field. But yeah, I think Marco Royce, I think you're right, Tab. The best teams need to be playing in CONCACAF every single year. If you want to be a club that's taken seriously in North America after all this season, the Galaxy have just been beaten up. They've been laughed at, they've been mocked, they've been humiliated, and they have every right to be because it's been a disastrous season. But if you're able to play in CONCACAF, you're on the main stage. You're where you need to be. And for a club like the Galaxy, I'm sure Ricky really wants his lick back at CONCACAF. He's never played in it. But he's seen this team go down to Tigres in the quarterfinals in a match that if Ricky's there, we win. We advance past Tigres. So, and it is worth noting, as Alex says in the chat, we could win a spot with fourth place potentially if Orlando, Miami, or Seattle wins the Cup or Supporter Shield. That is also true. That spot would be inherited by the Galaxy. But for the sake of right now, I think the Galaxy want to figure out if they're going to be in CONCACAF on August 31st or tomorrow. They want to know if they're back in CONCACAF Champions Cup, So I think they, chances of 2 trophies this season with a wooden spoon. I think there's a treble chance here.
I was about to say that. I think we could get a treble. We could get one up that.
Yeah.
Wooden spoon, Leagues Cup, and Campeones Cup.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
might be the craziest treble in all of the history of football or soccer.
Yeah.
What's it called? Bayern can win the treble, Barca can win the treble, PSG can win their treble, but it doesn't compare to this. You can't come last place and win 2 major trophies. Like, come on.
Look, I was talking to Eli about this, actually, Eli Lesser. And he was like, you know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of the Zavaleta hat trick with the own goal in it. And it's like, yeah, what a comparison. What an absolute stunning comparison that is. Yeah, the own goal, wooden spoon, and then you got the Campeones Cup and Leagues Cup to put on the table. Hey, we really want to put trophies on the table, and it's going to be able to shut everybody up. It's going to shut everybody up who's been spewing absolute nonsense about, hey, you guys are last in the league. Like, everybody's come back right now to any Galaxy fan making argument is, hey, you're last. It's a fair argument, and I would be doing the same thing to any one of our rivals if they were in the same spot. But if you put trophies on the table, they can't speak because there's a good chance that every team in California might end trophyless. So it's MLS is such a hard league to win trophies in. You take them, you absolutely take them. And if you're the Galaxy, the more trophies you can put on the table, the more you're separating yourselves more and more from everybody below you. So we need this trophy, and you could debate about how legit Campeones or Leagues Cup is, but it's silverware. But let's preview the Seattle Sounders match here. The LA Galaxy will be taking on the Seattle Sounders at Dignity Health Sports Park. August 27th at 7:45 p.m. If you need tickets, $20 right now. I'll share the link after this on my Instagram story. If you haven't gotten tickets already, the deal ends at midnight. It's GA. But if you want to get in the stadium, and by the way, don't quote me on this, but they don't really check if you want to move over to the supporters section from the GA seating. They don't really check if it might be different because it's a semifinal match, but they don't check tickets. They've done that like twice to me, but don't quote me on that. Galaxy take on Seattle, though. We got trounced by Seattle. We got trounced by Seattle at home. That, that stings. And I think that's the large thing looming over this match. The vibe, the optimism would be so much higher if they didn't just come into Dignity Health Sports Park and give us belt. They just gave us straight belt. They gave us the paddle. It's not looking good, bro. I don't feel very confident about this, but the guy who caused us so much trouble, Danny Musovsky, former LAFC player, former Leva, will be out, which is good, all things considered. But this is such a hard match to predict, in my opinion, because it's like, look, you could separate Leagues Cup from MLS, but can you separate this team that lost to Seattle at home and got embarrassed by them 4-0? Can you separate that performance from this? I mean, you start over on a clean slate, and I'm hoping it's the case that we could carry some momentum into this match, especially with our win against Colorado. But yeah, Tab, initial thoughts.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game. I was talking with a Seattle fan before I came on earlier, and he's telling me who's going to be out and who's going to be playing. Obviously, Musovski's out. That's their main goal scorer. They're gonna have Nuhu and Peck have a history. Nuhu's been the better of that history, kind of been clamping up Peck. But then you got the inexperience, but also very talented Reed Baker Whiting at right back for Seattle, and that would be interesting matchup against Paintsel. So there's a lot of good matchups around the field. Obed Vargas and Christian Roldan, they're always good. They always control the midfield, so it's going to be tough on Cerrillo and whoever else is in the midfield to kind of battle with them to gain control. Because I think whoever wins the midfield is going to win this game, just because both teams are so strong in the midfield. So it'll be interesting to see. And then one final thought is, I think if we can score early, I think that's going to be the key to the match. But if Seattle get the first goal, I think it might be a landslide.
Yeah. Carlos is right, though. Them only winning pens against Puebla, they were put on the brink of elimination. Gives me a lot of faith. I would say that's another bright spot to put on this match, is the fact that they didn't win that convincingly. We beat Pachuca in regulation, who is a much better team. Hopefully this match doesn't go to pens. It would go to pens after 90 minutes of regulation, I believe. You don't want that against a team with Seattle's experience and quality. You don't want penalties. So like you said, you get on the score sheet first, and I think the Galaxy are able to see this one out. You want to lock it down defensively. I'm not very convinced by the Seattle Sounders attack, especially without Danny Musovsky, and I know we're the same team that lost 4-0 to that Seattle Sounders attack. But overall, their goal scoring record hasn't been good in MLS this year. It hasn't been as good. Their defense is the real standout point, and it's been the last year. I think that's why you saw the Western Conference final be as close as it was, is purely because of how good that Seattle back line was. They almost literally took us to the brink of elimination in the playoffs, was the fact that, guys like Nuhu, guys like Yamar, a goalkeeper, I believe Stephen Fry won't be starting. It should be Andrew Thomas.
What's it called? What's their coach's name?
Brian Schmetzer.
Schmetzer, yeah. He said that this is Thomas's tournament, so it's going to be Andrew Thomas in goal. And I just found the text from the guy. Morris is out, Rusnak's out, Kent's out, Hawkins is out, João Paulo's out, and Areola's out. So obviously Rusnak has caused us some trouble, and he was kind of pulling strings against us last game when they went up 4-0. So it's good that he's gone. Obviously they have Jesus Ferreira, the Pirate of the Caribbean, as some people call him. But he's caused us some trouble in the past. Rothrock, like Brandon said, he's good. It's gonna be good. Seattle's got a really, really good depth, so it's gonna be a good test.
Yeah, absolutely. you talk about all the players that are out for them. That might give you guys a boost of confidence. They're a team that's extremely deep right now. The Galaxy don't have much depth. You have a guy like Nascimento out, and you're looking at maybe potentially starting Sanabria in the midfield, which is such a difficult thing to do in a game like this, to put that kind of pressure on the guy. When Seattle's midfield, Paul Rothrock, some of the guys that they have, Atencio does not play for them, but he was good last year.
Obed Vargas.
Yeah, Obed Vargas. That was the name that I was looking for there. They have really quality midfielders. They might win that battle against the Galaxy, and it's important that, going forward, we're clinical. We have to be so clinical in this game. We cannot afford to scuff chances, because they're going to come far and few, I believe. So you get the lead, and you make them apply all the pressure onto you, and then you hit them on some counters, hit them with that speed of Joseph Paintsil, Gabriel Peck, and really torture them, give them the paddle this time. So that'd be really nice to see from a Galaxy perspective. Starting lineup, I'm gonna go obviously Novak Mitrovic in net, Julian Ade left back, Amiro Garces and Zonka center backs, Cuevas. I saw a question about which players do you think will roll over from the Colorado game. I think Zonka will start. Edwin Carrillo, I believe, will also start. Obviously, he's the staple there. He's the glue in the midfield. I was surprised they didn't really give him a rest, but they ended up subbing him out at a point, which, thank gosh, that guy covers so much ground. Joe Tutino, with the shout there of Edwin Surreal and how much he's had to pick up this year. He's gotten a lot of flack, and to me, that's just outrageous, because the things that Edwin Surreal does and the way that he controls the midfield, and he wins that ball so much.
Like, look over you, you're like, oh jeez, what the heck? You can clip. That's going on.
I love Edwin Surya, dude. The ground that man covers in the midfield. It kind of reminds me of the disrespect Mark Delgado got sometimes. People would be like, I saw somebody use a stat of like, oh, Edwin Surya shite. He only has like 1 goal contribution, and like. Why are we using goal stats for a defensive midfielder? Have we lost the plot? So, I just I love Edwin Cerrillo. Anyway, sorry, tangent over. He'll start in the midfield. Diego Fagundes will start in the midfield, and my pick, I think Winder. I'm going to go Winder starting in the midfield in this match, with Royce at the false 9 and Peck and Paintsil on the wings. I think Winder is going to slightly edge out Sanabria. I could also see him starting, but Galaxy runs LA. What would you change in that?
I just have a quick comment. What did you say Sarah's going to do to Sanabria? He's going to edge him out? Did I hear that correct?
Okay.
My guarantee you just say he's going to edge out. Sorry. But yeah, I think you're spot on with that lineup. I think if we're playing false 9 with Royce, I think the midfield is what you said. But I think if we drop in Royce to the 10, throw Winder out, and I think maybe you see Ramirez start, that's the only other possible combination I think you could come up with.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that one. The Galaxy have a very interesting clash with the Sounders. Score predictions, Mr. Tab.
I'm going to go 1-0. History repeats itself again. I think if we're going to win, it's going to be a tight one. So 1-0. Yeah. And it's going to be who's going to score? It's going to be a Julian Alde goal. Going rogue.
Goal.
Yeah. He's going to get his revenge.
I think the Galaxy will win 2-1. Look, I would love to say that we're going to keep a clean sheet, but I have a hard time doing that when they literally put belt to bum there. So I'd imagine that we don't keep a clean sheet in this one, but Zonka's been playing great. Garces hopefully continues his good form. Cuevas solid at that right back spot. Oh, that's crazy. Who sacrifices their ACL this time? That's a wild comment. Um, that's a wild comment.
Of course,
Um,
Sam
I,
says that.
I'm gonna go 2-1. I'm gonna go 2-1 Galaxy. My goal scorer, I think, will be Joseph Paintsil. He's got the Galaxy buzz touch. You know, he's
Okay.
gonna, he's gonna end up getting on the score sheet, and then the second goal, I'm gonna go with Marco Royce. I feel like I'll pick Royce enough, so I'm gonna pick Royce Sala goal in this one. So at the false nine position. Um, yeah, Galaxy Sounders, August 27th, Dignity Health Sports Park. Show up if you can. $20 GA tickets. Really good price for, I was looking at the GA tickets before they did that promo. It was like $50, so you're getting pretty good
Yeah.
value on
I
that.
think what's it called? I was looking at it, and it's around. I think it's a little bit lower. I think it's around 40.
Yeah, I think it's the resale that's around 40 now.
Yeah, that's on what's it
Yeah,
called,
yeah.
Galaxy's website.
Yeah, I was looking at the original tickets and they were listed for like 50. So, make sure, by the way, guys, like and subscribe if you're here now. Tuesday, 8 p.m. We're always here. I don't know, man. Royce at the false nine. That scares me a little if Nascimento's not ready to go. Maybe you'll see a cameo off the bench if he's able to put, 15, 20 minutes in. He could make a difference. He has a good penalty too if it's heading in the penalty direction. In fact, I would go one further and say that maybe Nascimento should be our penalty taker. Because 2 for 2, can't argue with a perfect record. So yeah, I'm going to say 2-1 Galaxy. You say 1-0 Galaxy. We both have them winning, which means that will be the end of our League's Cup campaign. Thank you all very much. Anyway, regardless of this match, August 31st will be the either third place game or final at Dignity Health Sports Park. If we win, we would play Miami or Orlando, whoever ends up winning that clash. That game will be on before ours, so we'll know who we'd potentially face. As a result. So, Miami or Orlando, either one of those teams, I think, would be a very difficult matchup.
I think Orlando wins that one, not gonna lie.
Me too.
I think just what's it called? Orlando just has their number. I saw a post earlier saying the same thing from MLS, but yeah, you never know with Messi. If Messi plays, you've seen Orlando get smacked as well. I think it's the start of last season. Miami beat Orlando at their place like 5-0 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see the flip side of things of this season. Orlando's smacked them 4-0, I think. But that was without Messi, so it'll be a good game to watch. I'll be watching on the way to the stadium.
Yeah.
So my schedule's pretty crazy, man. Got school in the morning, or my classes, training, and then that ends around 4:30ish, and then straight to the digs.
I have a lot of sleeping and unemployment to do. A lot of Instagram reels to scroll. All things of that sorts, catching up on brain nourishment. Anyway,
Is that what they're calling it now?
yeah,
Brain nourishment?
it's brain nourishment. I think hosting Miami at home would be a very cool game to watch. I imagine Messi would be there for the final, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think Messi is going to either come off the bench and it's going to be too late, or they're just going to end up trouncing Miami. It is in Miami though, which is a sting in the tail. Maybe that will change things, but I don't imagine it will right now. LA Galaxy, Dignity Health Sports Park. This tournament runs through Dignity Health Sports Park. Be there. I'll be in Angel City Brigade. If you see me, say hi. If you meet me out in Quahog. Anyway, LA Galaxy, Seattle Sounders. Let's hope that it's not as bad as it went last time. Tab, where can people find you?
I'm over on Instagram, TikTok, and X at Galaxy Runs LA.
As for myself, I'm LA Galaxy _Buzz on Instagram. Make sure to follow the Talkin Galaxy TikTok. It's just Talkin Galaxy, one word. We have a TikTok now. Follow the Instagram if you haven't already. Once again, thank you very much, Joe Tutino, for showing up today and being on the podcast. Eternally grateful for him. Got to be the next statue, in my opinion. That's my pick. Just a class act, class guy. Lovely lad. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe if you already haven't. Galaxy, once again, face off against the Seattle Sounders at home. And yeah, we will both be there. Thank you guys very much for tuning in, and I will see you next